Getting you ready for game day. I'm WCCO's Mike Max, ready to tackle everything football, from the Vikings and Gophers' upcoming games to exclusive conversations with players, coaches, and more. Let's go beyond the headlines with stories you won't get anywhere else. WCCO's Kickoff Countdown starts right now. Let me start with this. You were a champion at Ohio State. You got into broadcasting, and then what called you back into coaching?
Man, I think that I honestly just felt like I always thought about it when I was playing, but I was never that guy who was like the most athletic guy on any defense that I was on. So I always had to have this mindset of wanting to know everything about the defense, about the scheme, where I could get beat, where I could have success. And that started all the way back with Coach Lombardi at Wayzata, and it continued through really good coaches in college, and then through my time in the NFL. I always had like a curiosity about why certain things were run and what situations and stuff. So it always was in the back of my mind. I think when you get done playing, you just get burnt out a little bit with football. It's never easy to kind of come to that realization that you can't do it. You know what corrections you need to do on film, but you can't really go out there and execute anymore. And so I took a break, and then being around it in the media space was fun. But I wanted to dive back in and just kind of see if I could do the coaching gig. And so that's when I went up to Notre Dame and started with Marcus Freeman up there with the Irish.
You did, and what did you learn from him?
I think the best part about going up there and starting in a graduate assistant role was you're doing a lot of the busy work on the computer. You're learning how to build PowerPoints, and you're really learning how to teach. And so coaching is just teaching. And so when you play the game and you're the student, you had to figure out, okay, how do I teach these kids how to do the job that I want them to do? And then you're learning your players' different learning styles, right? Some people can sit in a classroom and watch film and get it and see a diagram and be fine. And then some of your players need to go out there and walk through and feel it and kind of move around. And so you have to kind of cater to the room and what is available to you. And so I learned a whole lot, to say the least, and I have a total different respect for analysts and graduate assistants and people who are really doing a lot of the groundwork with the playbook and teach tapes and all of that stuff that nobody sees, while also learning how to coach and how to teach at the same time. So it was drinking through a fire hose, I'll tell you that much.
But when you came back to the game, it wasn't the same game you knew, meaning transfer portal and NIL. What did that feel like to you when you realized that you got to get your arms around something different than the way when you played?
It's just, man, it's so different in the sense of, I think two things. I think the kids, at the end of the day, they're competitive, and they want to be pushed to reach their max potential. That hasn't changed from when I was coming through. I think they're also a lot more aware of what is actually going on everywhere due to social media, right? Naturally, these kids have been raised on social media, so they have a bigger awareness. And then once you get to the point where, once we open the Pandora's box about transfer portal and NIL, and, the 4-game red shirt at first was a really good idea. And then now what it has created is, if somebody loses a competitive battle, then maybe they're not going to play. Kids have to make a business decision. Do I want to keep playing for my team, or do I want to withhold my year to then maybe go transfer and play somewhere else and get my chance at my dream in the National Football League? There are a lot of benefits to NIL as well, right? Like, there are some players who will make a good head start on life in NIL, being really good college football players, who maybe won't make it in the National Football League. And so that's a positive, I think. So there's pros and cons to all of it, right? But you just have to navigate. I'll say this, to keep depth to your room can be tricky at times, because if you have a lot of guys that are the same age, then everyone wants to play, and there's only so many spots to play, right? So, and then with younger players, there's potential that you're building. And so you just have to learn how to navigate it on the fly, and thankfully I was learning all this at the same time everybody else was, because literally when I started NIL came about, I wasn't like thrust into this thing without ever navigating it. But we're
Yeah.
all just kind of learning on the fly with all of it.
What's it like to coach? I mean, obviously, no different than high-power programs as a champion when you played there, and then as a champion last year. What's it like to coach at Ohio State when you're the number one team in the country and they're defending national champions? I know it probably seems, well, I know nothing else because that's where you've been. But do you appreciate that? Do you feel pressure?
You don't feel pressure. I think you feel almost like you feel responsibility. I always felt that as a player here, you knew so many great players came before you. And so I felt like when I took the field wearing the scarlet and gray, and, our defensive nickname is the Silver Bullets. And so when I get on the field, I'm like, holy smokes, you're upholding the traditions of Mike Vrabel, of Andy Katzenmoyer, of Chris Spielman, of Antoine Winfield, of Don Springs, Corey Stringer. Like everyone that put on that uniform, you're trying to play to a standard. And so there's a little bit of an expectation and responsibility there. And it's the same thing as a coach. Like at Ohio State, you're expected to win every single game. And the reality of it is, even when you win, sometimes it's not clean enough or it's not pretty enough. It's not so. But you understand that when you come here as a player, right? You come here as a player to try to be the best and be competing against the best every single day, which is true. And then when I was here, they tried to out-recruit me at the position. And then when you're here as a coach, you're recruiting guys to help iron sharpen iron, right? You would like to have all the best linebackers in the room and compete and plot out scratch, and ultimately it raises the level of your room. So it's very demanding, but at the same time, it's rewarding when you, at the end of the day, get to kick your feet up after a W.
For sure. Just a couple more quick ones. Donovan Jackson, Vikings guard, first-round pick, Ohio State. He and I have talked about you. It sounded like you had a relationship with him, even though he was on the other side of the ball. What do we got here? He seems
He's a
like
great
a pretty
kid.
gregarious kid.
Great kid, first class. Yeah, we had an interesting relationship because I like to talk trash to our players all the time. And so with Donnie, I used to say to him all the time, like, give me a helmet, some shoulder pads, and I will whoop your behind, an inside drill. And that's good. So,
or something like
along
that,
those
right?
lines. Maybe not as clean, but, he's a guy that's an unbelievable leader. And you talk about, man, moving from guard to tackle for us last year in the midst of all the injuries that we had, and then he really anchored that O-line and kept the glue together. He's an impressive young man.
What will it be like for the Gophers to walk into the shoe on Saturday night? What do you expect from them?
We know the kind of program that PJ has going over there, and he's done a phenomenal job. PJ was actually a graduate assistant here when I was playing, so I've known PJ for a long time. He's taken some stuff, obviously, from Coach Tressel and from Coach Schiano at Rutgers, and he's done such a good job. There's a consistency and there's an identity to what he wants to do, and that's offense, defense, special teams. Every time that we've played the Gophers, they're going to be tough. They're going to attempt to run the football. I know last week they had a little bit of a difficulty. They've had some injuries there, but it's still part of who he is. Like, I think if we all go into this thinking he's just going to drop back all the time, like we know what PJ, wants to do. It's part of his character. He wants to run the ball. He wants to stop the run. He wants to play really good special teams and be opportunistic, with the ball on offense. So I just have a lot of respect for what he has accomplished in this profession. And we expect a really tough football team to come into Ohio Stadium. And the truth of the matter is, when you're the number one team in the country, right? Like you're getting everyone's best shot. You're getting everyone's best shot. So we expect the absolute best out of Minnesota.
Last question. You're taking a break right now. You've got 3 daughters in dance while they dance. So you don't have another linebacker.
I do, actually. So my
right
son turned 1 last Friday. So I have girl. And so I do have a son. So it's
okay.
Which, I mean, my gosh, I finally got another man in the house.
He's 1 now, so you're working on shedding blocks or what?
I actually joke with my players, with some of my freshmen, if they set the front wrong or they make the wrong rotation call, I'll say to them, hey, even Maverick can make that call, and so.
Even Maverick Laurinaitis, man. Almost sounds like a professional wrestler.
He started walking just yesterday too, so he's making some steps, and he's a big boy. He's like 90th percentile in everything.
Oh, you got the measurements going. That's great. The analytics. So life is good
Life
right
is
now for
good.
you.
When you're a dad in this profession, you find out real quick there isn't balance. I think to have balance, it's not, you'll never have
Nope.
complete balance. So that is the one part of this that tugs at you is the moments that you do have with your children. You just really got to soak them up. And I can remember like yesterday when, as all parents can, when their firstborn is born, and I was playing in St. Louis, and now that 11-year-old is she's lived in Missouri and Tennessee and Louisiana and back in Ohio, and she's been all over the place. So you just have to soak up the moments you get with them. So I get to go watch dance tonight with all three girls, and then thankfully Coach Day lets us out of practice on Wednesday nights to go home, and then on Thursday nights we get to go home and we catch up on film in the morning.
Coaches always catch up on film in the morning. Hey, thank you so much. It's always great to see you, and I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely, and
Congratulations on
go
all the
Trojans!
success.
I know it's been a tough start for Wayzata, but we're still riding. Go Trojans!
Yeah. They got Tonka this week, and Tonka's a tough one.
Tonka still haunts me because they beat us for the state title my senior year, so Tonka still haunts me.
I hear you, man.
Never.
You don't forget those either. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. But thank you for giving us the time. That's your Kickoff Countdown for the week. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow, rate, and share. Join us every Friday wherever you get your podcast to discover what's at stake on game day, from the Vikings to the Gophers and beyond. And make sure to watch the live Kickoff Countdown Thursday nights at 10:15 on WCCO.